Divorce is tough, but your finances don't have to be. I'm David Cross, and I'm a certified divorce financial analyst practitioner. My job is to help you get a fair financial settlement in your divorce and to guide you to smarter money decisions. Find out how we can help you. U.S. Asset Management. It's your money and your future.
Nuk keni dëgjuar çfarë nuk do dëgjoni. Mbase nuk e keni dëgjuar akoma që unë ha fëmijë. Po, ha fëmijë. Si u ka ardhur akoma lajm, do t'ja u thonë dhe këtë.
Discussed because there is no yet project approved, right? So first we need to have the project then to see the project, then to discuss the project. But we can't discuss something that does not exist, but that is being presented in the overall social media through a hybrid war against Albania, through false narratives like the project is not the project, but is something cooked between me and Bibi Netanyahu through Jared Kushner to bring the Palestinians in Zvernets. And I think the Western media should be much more careful, because when Albania will join the EU, there are three things you can't predict. Three, right? God, sex, and the EU.
De la table des discussions pour un plan de paix, parce qu'il s'agit d'une architecture de paix et de sécurité pour les Européens compte tenu de la géographie. Donc je pense que c'est une bonne initiative et que c'est une bonne chose qu'il y ait des discussions qui puissent reprendre.
What do you think about
it? Et je pense que c'est le moment, compte tenu de l'évolution de la situation. Tous ceux qui nous disaient il y a 6 mois que l'Ukraine allait s'effondrer, que l'Ukraine n'allait pas passer l'hiver, qu'il fallait se presser d'accepter l'inacceptable, les Ukrainiens, avec force, courage, leur ont encore une fois donné tort. Maintenant, c'est à nous de savoir aussi bâtir une paix durable. Et c'est ce
for coming to see it for yourselves. And so I've really learnt a lot from you this morning, and thank you very, very much. It reminds me of something that I hold fast to every single day as Prime Minister, and that is that my first duty, the duty above everything else, is to keep our country safe and to keep our people safe. That is the top, most important duty of any Prime Minister, because this is a cross-government priority. And that will now be published before the NATO summit, which is in just a few weeks' time. A very important summit where countries across the world come together. NATO, of course, the single most effective military alliance the world has ever seen. And if you needed any reminder about the importance of this, it is our intelligence assessment and the assessment of other countries in NATO that there could be an attack by Russia on NATO as soon as 2030. So you can see the urgency and the priority that we're putting behind this.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Wow, so much going on in the world. You saw it in the cold open. Albania is on fire because there is an island off the coast. You may have heard this story, you may not have, but an island off the coast that allegedly, the narrative is that Jared Kushner and Bibi Netanyahu are working on putting a settlement, a development on this island. The Albanians are pissed. And obviously there's some international money behind these Albanian protests to prevent this. But the fascinating story, and we will report more on it in depth next week, exactly what's going on, maybe talk with our Balkan team in the Balkans about that. I've been to Albania many, many times, know the situation very well. It's well known for real estate and money laundering with drug money coming into Albania. I'm not saying that Kushner or Trump or anyone is involved in that at all. But the real estate in Albania is a hypersensitive issue to the population because they've seen buildings go up in the city that really have no purpose, that are just built to launder money. So fascinating story. We want to get to the bottom of it, and we'll try to do reporting as clean as we can on just the facts, ma'am, on this story and what's happening. So no matter where the truth lands, that's what we do here. I want to say hello to the crew in the chat. You're cleared hot. Check out whatfinger.com, great aggregator site. They post a lot of our content. And you also saw those damn Romanian drones, those pesky Ukrainian drones have been over Lithuania. They've been in Poland, and now they're hitting targets in Romania. You can be sure this has nothing to do with the EU trying to widen the war and Ukraine trying to widen the war and to threaten Europeans that Russia's attacking them. It has nothing to do with that. This is just errant Ukrainian drones that go off course and strike targets in NATO countries that are worried about war with Russia. That's all. So don't worry about that. Fascinating show. I'm sure Pete Blaber and I will have more to talk about this in the future. We're going to have a little bit of a short show today because we are so busy. Got a great lineup, however. I've got Ed Vidal on. We're going to talk about Cuba because Trump keeps dropping hints that Cuba's next. And I'm reading a lot of narratives that probably after the midterms. And I also want to talk about what's going on in the war. I think that this war I think Trump's telling the truth when he says, I'm in no hurry. I think the embargo on the Strait is working. I think Iran is being squeezed. I think Europe is being squeezed. I think China is being squeezed. And I think Trump's fine with it. So I think that's how this is rolling, and we'll see is Cuba next. And the theme of the show today is patience. I think Trump has a plan, and he's working that plan. So there's also a huge narrative that the U.S. is over, that they've lost the war in the Gulf, that they have no more munitions, that everything is just ending and the world is ending. That's not true. I think Trump has a plan. I've been critical of Trump on the Iran war, and I didn't want us in this, but I can see what's going on. And that's what we try to do here, is bring you insight as to what is happening. We've got Ed Vidal coming on shortly in the next segment. I also want to talk about Tampa history because most people don't know the history and the infrastructure. I've talked about this before on the show, that was built during the Spanish-American War to service the whole Cuban economy. I think it's huge. If you look at, if you go to the Tampa Hotel in Tampa, for instance, Tampa Bay Hotel, it's fascinating, full of history. And most Americans, like most Americans in the Caribbean, don't know anything. I wrote a book about it called Currency. They don't know anything that the entire free world or the modern world was fought over sugar down in the Caribbean for 100 years with the European powers, the Spanish, the Dutch, the French, the English, slavery. All of it was there. It all came from there. It's all still there history-wise. And we want to educate you because this may be a big circle coming back into a brand new economy building in the Caribbean. Think about it. If Cuba is no longer communist, what does that open up just economically for Southern Florida, for all of the region, just the Bahamas, the DR, all of that, Puerto Rico could have just massive positive implications. And I think that's what the Trump administration is looking at. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I've got Ed Vidal coming on. Ed is always full of insight. So stay with us. We'll be right back on the SCIF.
Every day, your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
And by the way, I wanted to say I'm starting my journey with Sean. I'm going to be getting a Ghost phone and then upgrading to a Ghost computer soon, because I am going to unplug for the Matrix. And you can follow me along on my journey. So mark37.com/CDM is where you want to go to do that. Find the webinar, sign up for the webinar, and learn everything you need to know to get started. And then you can also sign up for a free 30-minute consultation on privacy there at mark37.com/CDM. But I'm looking forward to it, and I have been worried about privacy for some time. So I'm going to be taking the plunge and changing my life and unplugging from the Matrix, and I'm really looking forward to it. So maybe you can join me.
A warm welcome here at the National Press Club. Welcome to the journalists, welcome to the Embraer team, and welcome to the other guests that we have here. I'm going to announce, and as some of you guessed it right when they came in, the first E2 order by an American operator. And that operator is Avello. We believe this is really a strategic shift to unlock profitability for the customer. I'm very pleased that we have Andrew Levy here as the CEO of Avello, and I'm very pleased to give the stage to share a little bit more about what Avello is going to do with the E2 195. Thank you very much.
Couldn't be more excited to be here as part of this historic announcement. We have such a great cultural fit as companies, so we're very, very excited to be Embraer's newest customer. We launched our airline in April of 21, and our target is focusing on small secondary airports of large metro areas. We've carried over 8 million customers since we started on 63,000 flights. And we've done all these things with 1,200 of the greatest crew members I could ever imagine having, and many of them are here with me today. This is the right airplane for us. It's going to open up opportunities for us that no other aircraft can serve. The best thing about the airplane, of course, is you will not find a middle seat on this airplane. It doesn't exist. We won't have any to offer. It's going to be the best cabin in the United States, and we're so excited about that. This is going to elevate our experience to the highest level, and we think our customers are absolutely going to love the airplane.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Okay, welcome back to the SCIF. Got Ed Vidal coming on right now. We're going to talk about what's happening in Cuba. I think, we pride ourselves on kind of seeing the future and where the world is going, and I think Cuba is next. Ed, thank you for joining me short notice this morning. I can't hear you there. It looks like you're on mute. There we go. I can. Yeah, we're good now. So thank you for joining me. Yeah, I have been listening to Trump, and the thing with Trump is you have to listen to what he says because he means it. So,
well, he had 4 years to plan his second term, so he's thought about this.
That's a good insight. Yeah, I mean, I can see the progression: Venezuela, Iran. I think Cuba is on the docket. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. If you look at a map, Cuba is like the plug, the cork into the Gulf of America, and it's right in the middle of the Caribbean. I recently saw a map of all the choke points in the world. And if you look at the Western Hemisphere, Cuba is right there. It's 90 miles from Key West. That's the Florida Strait. You realize America has become an energy superpower. So all the oil and gas that we send to Europe or anywhere in the Middle East, it comes from Texas, Louisiana, goes through the Florida Straits. So an opposing power in Cuba can block that. Same thing, if it goes to Asia, it has to go through the Yucatan Channel, which is even narrower to get down to the Panama Canal. So Cuba is in a strategic place to block American energy sales. And it's also been the platform for all the bad things that have been happening from the South. For example, when you think about all the illegal immigration, the caravans, they were being coordinated out of Havana. That's where the problem comes from. So it's really a strategic necessity. And I think Marco Rubio said this. A couple of his aides wrote an article in Fox News, and a couple of days later, he mentioned that Cuba is a strategic danger to the United States, being right in the middle of the Caribbean. And you're right. I think the Caribbean will become much more profitable. There's a lot of tourism to be done, but there's also a lot of minerals there, nickel, especially in Cuba. And there's just, enterprising people that will work and get things done. Now, I had said that on May 2nd, May 20th, which is Cuban Independence Day. By the way, Cuban independence was won by the United States fighting Spain. It was a war of 1998. You're right. The Rough Riders came from Tampa. They were assembled in Tampa. They sailed down to Guantanamo. So Tampa has a long history with Cuba, cigar rolling in Ybor City. The Cuban sandwich was invented in Tampa. Nobody in Miami wants to admit that, but it was. So I think that the Caribbean will become a powerful economic bloc, and I think that's certainly to our advantage. But I think what's happened, though, is that Trump, seeing how long it's taken to resolve the situation with Iran, I think he's not going to rush into another battle with Cuba. And I think they're going to keep the pressure on. On May 20th, the U.S. did not attack Cuba, but they indicted Raul Castro. So now the legal basis for an invasion or something like that has been laid down, and I think it will be followed up. Now, what I had mentioned, I think it'll probably be after the midterms, because the war with Iran has been very disruptive. A war in Cuba would be also disruptive. However, if you look at the employment report this morning, for example, it was huge. So people that are worried, I mean, I think the economy is booming. The Dow Jones is up to 51,000. The S&P 500 is doing very well. Employment is up. I think if people want to work and they want to make money and they want to have a prosperous life for themselves and their families, the Trump policy is the way to go. The Democrats are not offering anything at all. So I think I'm cautiously optimistic about the midterms. I think people are seeing the problems. They're seeing, for example, California elections. The results are not in. That's fraud right there.
Completely.
Right today, there is election fraud occurring in California just by them not reporting the numbers on a timely basis. So
Trump said as much, right? I mean, he said,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I'm also the president of the Election Integrity Brigade, so we keep an eye on that.
He must be aware of it.
Right. Yeah. But the thing about Cuba is that previously I had said there's going to be a problem because there's three layers of the regime. And, Bernie Sanders is always talking about oligarchy. Well, communist governments are oligarchies. You don't, there's the top 5-10%. And you don't get in. And so the first layer is the Castro family and their dependents. My wife and I were in Florence, Italy, earlier this year, and we learned about the Medici and how they took over. It became from a republic, it became a grand duchy, and in effect, they owned the city after a while. But I think the Castro family owns Cuba even more than medieval feudalist monarchies and duchies were owned, because the Castro family has this ideology of totalitarianism that takes over everything. The individual citizens don't own anything. They might own their toothbrushes. They don't own anything else. And so what you have is this top layer that I think is going to be probably going to get away with it. They're going to fly to Spain and then southern Russia, where they had the Olympics, Sochi. And I think they'll have their money. They have their money in the Vatican Bank in Switzerland. The top layer will probably get away with it. The bottom layer, however, the military, the green uniform military, has already signaled that they will not fight the U.S. military. And that happened last week. There was a picture taken of the commander of Southern Command, a Marine general. I forgot his name right now. He went down to Guantanamo. He met with his counterparts in Cuba, 3 or 4 of the top people in the army, the green uniform. They took pictures together. They were not, and nobody was wearing a weapon. These guys are not going to fight the U.S. When the Marines and the Special Forces go in, they're not going to fight, I think. So that's the third level. But in between, there's a level of repressors, and they are the militia. They are the committees for the defense of the revolution. Many of them wear black berets. They're beating up protesters. In July of 2021, they were the people who used baseball bats to put down the demonstrations and the protests. And I think those people are targeted because people in Cuba and their relatives in Miami who are armed are going to go down there and they're going to hold them to account. And I think that's going to be a real mess. And I think it's better to do that after the midterms, because I was talking to a friend who was a victim of a Cuban spy, and the Cuban spy died of natural causes last year. And I said, if he were still alive, you'd be going down there with a gun. And she said, yep. And I think that she's not the only one. There are going to be a lot of other people, and I think it's going to be a bloody mess. But well, that's what happens.
Well, communism is, to me, it's been revealed as simply an evil technique to gain power, as you said, oligarchy. It's serfdom, essentially, what it is.
Yeah,
you have
the people are serfs of the state.
Yeah,
and the party runs the state. They're the vanguard of the revolution. They sell all this naive, wishful thinking and good intentions, but in fact, it's serfdom.
It's deceit. And you mentioned a few things. One, I do think Trump is doing one thing at a time. In fact, he said so. But I did a lot of business down in Curacao and up through all the way up through southern Florida, which is part of the Caribbean technically. Ybor is a beautiful place in Tampa. I mean, that whole economy to me, all the way from Ybor City down to Curacao in Venezuela, it's just fascinating. I mean, it's so beautiful, so many resources, all the business down in Curacao, the gas, the oil, it's all there.
And now Guyana has all this oil and gas. They're booming. That's a big booming economy down in Guyana. So yeah, I think this whole basin has been held back by Cuban communism. And I think once Cuba is freed up, you're going to see a lot more business.
Wow. On that note, let's talk about Mexico real quick. I had a source in Mexico City over the weekend and met with a bunch of attorneys, and they basically came out and said, look, the government is controlled by the cartels. We as corporations have to do what we can to remove corruption from our companies and our firms. But, we're just private citizens, so we can't do it all. But it's a mess down there. What's going to happen in Mexico?
Well, I went down there a couple of years ago to a wedding in Puerto Vallarta in the state of Sinaloa on the Pacific coast. And it was a beautiful wedding, with the sun going down. But when I came back, I wrote a dispatch. And I think the solution is going to have to be that the U.S. is going to have to intervene militarily. And that means, and so this means it's going to be next year at the earliest. And it's going to have to send columns of, the 1st Armored Division and the 1st Cavalry Division from Fort Bliss, Texas, and the 101st. They're going to have to take over. And I think the objective should be for the U.S. to create a new country, a new republic, the Republic of North Mexico, which will join all the states from the Gulf of America now to the Pacific coast into a separate buffer republic. This is what Uruguay is between Brazil and Argentina. This is what Finland used to be between Russia and Europe. This is what Ukraine maybe should be but they've blown that for now. But maybe that's what they should be, a buffer state combining all the states and adjoining the U.S. And I think there's going to be a lot of support for that among the Mexican people, including the capital in Monterrey. I mean, Monterrey is a conservative business city mainly, and it's been taken over. Not only is the government controlled by the cartels, the government, the leaders themselves are a couple of communists. The guy who created this new political structure is Andrés Manuel López Obrador. He is a communist. He has been supporting the Cuban government. And Claudia Sheinbaum is also I don't want to say card carrying, but she's been supporting the Cuban government. And they're both controlled by the cartels. I think all the cartels are in on it. I mean, they gave up the leader of one cartel, but they're in cahoots with it. And I think it's a narco state, a failed narco state. And I think many people in Mexico will be grateful if the U.S. steps in, creates a buffer zone, maybe strikes against the cartels. The cartels are really agents, proxies for China in many respects. Certainly in the drug trade, they're getting the fentanyl components from China and making it and sending it up to the U.S. But the big bucks for the cartels is human trafficking. And I think Trump has put an end to that, and we have to keep deporting. And but we need to have that buffer state between us and Mexico, because a former president of Mexico, he was kind of president from life from 1876 to 1910, Porfirio Diaz said, "Poor Mexico, so far from God and so close to the United States." And I think we need a buffer state there.
Interesting concept. You're always pretty insightful and leading edge, so we will have to keep that in mind as the next
Republic of North Mexico, it'll be called.
Interesting.
Capital of Monterrey.
All right, well, let's shift to Miami. You're one of the editors of the Miami Independent, which has been extremely successful and very impactful in Southern Florida. This Fisher Island thing is people may not know, but it's one of the islands off in the port there of Miami, and it's a mess. I mean, it looks like Miami may lose control of the cruise fuel system.
Well, here's the problem. The Fisher Island is a very fancy island. A lot of expensive condominiums are there. You can't even drive to it. You have to take a ferry. And for some reason, I mean, it's been there for a long time. The fuel farm for the Port of Miami is located there. It's a 10-acre facility. And so a couple of years ago, the owner of Fisher Island, or the owner of the land under the facility, it's privately owned land, but there's the public tank farm, offered to sell it to the county. The county totally dropped the ball. This is going to be the subject of an article that we'll be submitting later today about how the county mayor has no administrative experience, keeps making these mistakes one after the other, and she dropped the ball. So as a result, the owner of the land under the tank farm sold it to a Chicago real estate developer. And the real estate developer is trying to build luxury condos, which would fit the rest of Fisher Island very nicely. And so now there's a problem. The county is threatening eminent domain. The money that we have, the developer offered to sell it back, but for like $400 million. He bought it for $180. He would sell it for $400 million. I mean, that's just total. And so
nobody in the Miami government is going to get any of that money, right?
I don't know. Who knows? Well, the county mayor fired her chief deputy who had negotiated the deal. I think she's just kind of covering her ass.
Yeah.
The port director has also been replaced. It's just total pandemonium. And part of the article that we're going to submit today is that the county mayor has no administrative experience. She comes from the not-for-profit sector. That's very dangerous. It's very highly funded by county governments and the federal government. It's a whole AID program, counting these not-for-profits. We're just totally overwhelmed by them, and we got to get rid of them. We can't keep funding all these not-for-profits. And so, but unfortunately, the county mayor has no administrative experience. That's where she came from. And our part of our article today is a warning that in 2028, when we have a new election for county mayor, We cannot afford to elect another person with no administrative experience.
Wow, so much going on, and CDM is right in the middle of all of it. Last but not least, tell us about the Election Integrity Brigade in Miami. It's rocking.
Oh, we're doing all sorts of things. We're very active with voter rolls. We have a real dispute with our supervisor of elections, who's a Republican endorsed by Trump. We endorsed. I gave her a financial contribution. She is continuing to support vote by mail, which we all know is rife with fraud. It was pointed out by the Carter-Baker Commission after the 2000 election. They said vote by mail is the most likely to result in fraud, and yet our county supervisor, a Republican, continues to support it. They just had an election in Coral Gables on some charter reform, and it was done totally vote by mail. 37,000 registered voters, each of them got a vote by mail. The problem is Florida statute says that a voter may not receive a vote by mail form unless he requests it.
Yeah.
In the case of Coral Gables, nobody requested it. Maybe the mayor requested it.
That happened in Pinellas too, where they were just creating voter by mail requests. In Miami too.
Yep. Well, we're working in Pinellas. Chris Gleason is running for Senate, and we're working with him. We had him come down and talk to our group. We have conferences, meetings every month, lunch meetings. Usually the third Saturday of each month, we meet at the Longhorn Steakhouse in Doral. And this week we're just shifted our focus for now. We're focusing on candidates. So we have an independent conservative Republican running for the state house, District 113, Tony Diaz. So we're supporting him. We're helping going door to door. We wrote up an article in the Miami Independent. So we're focusing on independent conservative Republicans who will help us in the fight for election integrity. We've also supported a couple of judges. You know, people say that they don't know who to vote for. We've been doing research on judges. We have a judge. There's a sitting judge, Mabel Ruiz, who, when there was a litigation filed against the transfer by Miami-Dade College of land to the Trump Presidential Library, he filed really a frivolous suit, which was dismissed at the end of the day. But right after the hearing, she went down, shook hands with the two teams of lawyers, and then hugged the plaintiff and said, "Thank you for bringing this lawsuit to stop the transfer of land to the Trump Presidential Library." So a lot of people got very upset with this, and they found a very good challenger. Her name is Destiny Alvarez. She's a 30-year-old lawyer, University of Florida. She's practicing, heading an office in Coral Gables. In her first, she launched in the beginning of April. She launched with $100,000 of contributions. So she is a serious candidate, and she's going to take out this judge that goes around hugging plaintiffs. And I think that's a good sign. The other one is there's a judge that is up for recall. She's an appellate judge. Her name is Bronwyn Miller. And when she was a young prosecutor, she put somebody away and got him the death penalty. This was a drug dealer on Liberty City, and he's been fighting the death penalty ever since. He's been convicted of other things, so he's not leaving prison for life. But a lot of progressive forces have been funding the public defenders to get him off the hook for the death penalty, which she helped to get him. So they're continuing to have hearings, which is outrageous. 20 years after he was convicted and given the death penalty, it still hasn't been executed. And so in the course of those hearings, she had an exchange of emails and texts with the state's attorney down here in Miami. That was made public, and now she's being brought before the Judicial Disciplinary Commission because, she made some comments about the judiciary, the judge handling the case, the arguments that should be made, who was handling it. And so, but I think the whole argument, the whole reason she's being subjected to this is because she's a conservative. It's lawfare. It's against her because she got the death penalty imposed. She's also opposed cash-free bail, which is something that the chief judge of Miami-Dade wanted to have a couple of years ago. That chief judge was was deposed and replaced. So I think you have all this continuing progressive lawfare, and we're on top of it, and we're fighting back.
Well, I hope, one good consequence of AI may be that it takes down a lot of this lawfare, or at least it gives the pro se candidate or pro se litigant a chance.
Right. That is a big point. Yeah. And Chris Gleason has been doing everything pro se almost.
Yeah.
So that's important. Yep.
Ed, thank you for your time. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
First time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door, absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
I'm watching my friends gain more and more weight, and then eventually I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke, I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back, cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
Put silver wings on my son's chest. Make him one of America's best. He'll be a man. He'll test one day. Have him win the Green Beret.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I want to give a shout out to the Wellness Company. A groundbreaking new study shows that there is a safe and inexpensive potential cancer treatment, and it's a drug that many of us already know about, ivermectin. This new study shows that individuals who took ivermectin, the parasite-fighting medication that gained fame during the COVID pandemic, along with the drug mebendazole, saw remarkable results in their battles with cancer. This incredibly promising results have many Americans wondering where they can obtain U.S.-made ivermectin and mebendazole. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from TWC doctors all the time on this network, and you know that their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy. The Wellness Company is making 100% American-made ivermectin and mebendazole available to our audience at an incredibly affordable price point. Say no to Big Pharma's greed and say no to Big Pharma's poisons and say yes to a company that you can trust to bring you safe, affordable, and effective treatments. If you or someone you love is interested in trying ivermectin and mebendazole, then I urge you to go to twc.health/CDM today and order. That's twc.health /CDM and use the promo code CDM to save 10%. I find I want to do the mission brief real quick. I forgot to do that. It's been such a crazy morning. You don't understand. We get up early and we're humping until the show starts, and it's always a challenge to get everything done and in place. But you'll be seeing some changes soon. But I am your host, Todd Wood. Today is June 5th. Here's your mission brief. Trump is in no hurry for the ceasefire. We discussed that in the Gulf. He's letting the squeeze happen on China, Iran, and Europe. New York killing the golden goose. Big one on the Manhattan.press. Check that out. We may talk about all these a little later in the show. Savannah gang violence. I definitely want to bring that up. Bering Strait deal. You may not have heard about this. We've been talking about this, and this is an example of CDM leading the way on stories. We'll get to that. And the Miami Fisher Island fiasco, which you heard Ed Vidal talk about. All right, now I want to give you a little history of the Tampa Bay area and the Spanish-American War and what could come back. If you've ever been to the Tampa Bay Hotel in Tampa Bay, it's a wonderful historical experience. I would recommend it, and watch the film in the theater there and check out all the old furniture and antiques and everything that was there and the grand building that it is. So here we go, a little history lesson, and then we'll be back for some more stories.
Hello, and welcome back to the channel. You're watching Journeys Through History. Welcome to Tampa, Florida, sunny, vibrant, and steeped in unexpected history. While today, the Tampa Bay area is a hub for tourism and commerce, over a century ago, this region, perched on Central Florida's western Gulf Coast, played a pivotal role in launching the United States onto the world stage. You might be visiting here for the great food, the Gulf breeze, white sand beaches, maybe a walk along Bayshore Boulevard, or the recently revitalized riverfront. But if you look closer, beneath the rooftops, sidewalks, and seawalls are stories waiting to be discovered. Stories of immigrants, revolution, industry, and empire. In this episode, we invite you to walk with us through the streets of Ybor City, past the towers of a grand edifice that housed a luxury hotel, and out to the quiet corners of Tampa Bay, where America's Gilded Age stepped from continental shores to overseas invasion. In 1898, the Tampa Bay region became the staging ground for the Spanish-American War, a short conflict with long consequences. Our journey is rooted in the aromas of cigar factories, the voices of revolution, and the vision of industrialists when Tampa was transformed from a sleepy, sandy village into a gateway to empire. Join us on a journey to locations where history is hidden in plain sight. At the heart of our story is the Spanish-American War. This brief but pivotal conflict fought between the United States and Spain from April to August 1898 seems often overshadowed by America's longer and larger wars. But the Spanish-American War marked a key moment in American emergence onto the global stage. In the 1890s, Cuba was the epicenter of a growing liberation movement that sought independence from centuries of Spanish colonial rule. Since the mid-19th century, Cubans openly fought for independence from Spain, but failed to achieve much support from foreign nations. That changed in the 1890s when the Cuban struggle for independence drew the attention of powerful men in the United States who saw the overseas conflict as a potential for expansion. American newspapers, especially those of William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer, sensationalized Spanish atrocities and fostered sympathy for the Cuban cause through yellow journalism. Economic interests also played a role. American investors had significant stakes in Cuban sugar and tobacco industries. The tipping point came on February 15, 1898. The explosion of the USS Maine in Savannah Harbor killed over 260 U.S. sailors. The event sent shockwaves through the American public. Sensationalist newspapers quickly blamed Spain, igniting outrage and a thirst for retribution. The rallying cry, "Remember the Maine, to hell with Spain," swept the nation, galvanizing public opinion and pushing the United States toward war. It became a powerful symbol of national pride, sacrifice, and the justification for intervention. Finally, in April 1898, the U.S. Congress declared war on Spain. Shortly thereafter, American forces sailed to Cuba and invaded the island. While the first battle and decisive American victory took place on May 1st, 1898 at Manila Bay in the Philippines, and major combat took place in Puerto Rico and Guam, the Spanish-American War was primarily fought on the island of Cuba. Two of the most significant battles of the war took place near Santiago on July 1st, 1898. Involved here were perhaps the best-known unit and military leader of the war, the Rough Riders, a volunteer cavalry led by future President Theodore Roosevelt. Here, they famously charged up Kettle Hill alongside regular Army units. Often overlooked, but absolutely essential to the victory, were the regiments from the 9th and 10th Cavalry, known as the Buffalo Soldiers. These African-American units had previously distinguished themselves in the American West, and now, in Cuba, they fought with extraordinary courage under heavy fire and suffered some of the war's highest casualties. Their bravery helped secure American victory and earned them lasting, if far too often unrecognized, honor in U.S. military history. With quick and decisive victories over Spanish forces, the hostilities ended by August, only months after they began. Roughly 3,000 Americans died. Under 400 were killed in combat. The rest died from disease. The war formally concluded with the Treaty of Paris on December 10, 1898. In the treaty, Spain ceded Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines to the United States and relinquished all claims to Cuba. The United States became protectorate of Cuba. Although brief, the conflict signaled the emergence of the United States as a global power and marked a turning point in both American foreign policy and colonial history. In the wake of the Spanish-American War's brief but transformative campaign, the national spotlight shifted quickly to the spoils of victory and the rise of America as a global power. Yet the war's echoes remain grounded in the very landscape from which it launched. Few places reveal this better than Tampa Bay, whose role as a critical military staging ground has long been overshadowed by the flashier narratives of battlefield heroics and overseas conquest. Before the Rough Riders charged up San Juan Hill, they gathered on Florida's Gulf Coast, awaiting orders, supplies, and ships. Tampa Bay was not just a backdrop. It was a nerve center of logistics, diplomacy, and drama. Located northeast of downtown Tampa, today Ybor City is celebrated as one of Tampa's most vibrant and culturally rich neighborhoods. Known for its historic brick streets, iconic wrought iron balconies, and lively mix of restaurants, bars, and cigar shops. Once the heart of Tampa's immigrant labor movement and cigar industry, it now draws visitors for its nightlife, festivals, and architectural charm. While many come for entertainment, the deeper layers of Ybor's past, its role in Cuban independence, labor organizing, and the Spanish-American War, are still visible for those who know where to look. As the desire for independence from centuries of Spanish colonial rule grew in the 1890s, Tampa, and specifically the immigrant neighborhood of Ybor City, became a key center of support for the Cuban cause. Founded in 1885 by Cuban cigar manufacturer Vicente Martinez Ybor, the now historic Ybor City became home to thousands of Cuban, Spanish, Italian, and German immigrants. Originally seeking a more hospitable and economically favorable environment than Key West, Vicente Ybor purchased land northeast of Tampa and envisioned a company town centered around the cigar industry. With support from local investors and the newly arrived South Florida Railway, Ybor City quickly became a hub of industrial growth. Its first cigar factory opened in 1886, and by the early 1890s, the neighborhood was thriving with dozens of factories, thousands of workers, and a rapidly growing immigrant population. Today, as you wander the brick-lined streets of Ybor City, don't be surprised if you cross paths with some unexpected locals. Descended from the chickens kept by early Cuban and Spanish immigrants, untamed, defiant, and proud, these birds roam freely. Their crowing is more than a wake-up call. It's a living echo of Ybor's multicultural past. In Ybor,
every day your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
And by the way, I wanted to say I'm starting my journey with Sean. I'm going to be getting a Ghost phone and then upgrading to a Ghost computer soon, because I am going to unplug for the Matrix. And you can follow me along on my journey. So mark37.com/CDM is where you want to go to do that. Find the webinar, sign up for the webinar, and learn everything you need to know to get started. And then you can also sign up for a free 30-minute consultation on privacy there at mark37.com/CDM. But I'm looking forward to it, and I have been worried about privacy for some time. So I'm going to be taking the plunge and changing my life and unplugging from the Matrix, and I'm really looking forward to it. So maybe you can join me.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and IRA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Do you already have your investments with Fidelity? I'm David Cross with U.S. Asset Management. Did you know that you can assign your investment management to my team and put my 35 years of experience to work for you? You simply assign us as your investment manager and you keep the same username and password. Professional management, and you get to work with someone who shares your values. Call US Asset Management today and put us to work for you.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I want to talk about a few stories real quick before we get to our next guest. Let me just bring this up here. Hold on. Okay, crazy wealth tax proposals in New York City and California. Big one. If you're in the Manhattan area, go to the Manhattan.press, put us in your daily scan there, and start learning about what's happening in your own city. The golden goose is being cooked to eat by the communists. So big article up on the Manhattan.press on crazy wealth tax proposals. Another one, we talked about the Miami Fisher Island story. You can find that on the Miami Independent. Important one that Ed Dowd walked through, not Ed Dowd, Ed Vidal. This one is on the headline of CDM.press. I don't think Trump is in any hurry, but good update on the war as to what's happening in that area of the world. This one on Georgia, GeorgiaRecord.com, talking about the massive gang violence in Savannah. We're going to stay on this story. In fact, we'll be back down in Savannah soon. So this one is an ongoing issue that you need to be aware of. Another city being destroyed, which is really hurting the American effort to rebuild our great cities. So take a look at that story on the Georgia Record. And there's others. Go to cdm.press daily. Put us in your daily scan. We're on podcast. CDM1 on Rumble. Please follow us there. Please subscribe us CDM on YouTube. Even if you don't watch us there, we need to grow the numbers. And CDM_press. And also check out our no ad subscriptions. Go to my.cdm.press. That's my.cdm.press. And check out how you can get access to all of our content. Oh, that's the wrong one. my.cdm.press, where you can get access to all of our content with no advertisements. All right, I had the opportunity to sit down with a gentleman who's doing something really important for the military and first responders community. And I wanted to run this interview I did yesterday with Mr. Peter Pavilos on what he's doing to help our veterans. So here you go. I think you'll enjoy this.
We're honored to be today with Peter Pavilos. He is the chairman of the board of the Voice of the Veteran and also one of 3 Americans that has received the U.S. Army Distinguished Civilian Medal. So, Peter, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Todd. It's a pleasure to be on your program.
Well, we have a lot of military and veterans and first responders in the audience. So tell us what you're trying to do with this event. It's called the Dignity of America. What is it called?
It's called the Day of Gratitude.
Okay.
And it will be held at Allegiant Stadium on June 6, 2026.
And how did it originate? What is behind this?
The history goes back about 30 years. I come from a military family of 5 generations of military service to our country. Mm-hmm. So service and respect for the military and veterans is very important. It's part of our DNA. So 30 years ago, I started doing small events for veteran and military communities, like for troops that were being deployed or troops that came back from overseas. I do little parties for them, have lunch, a welcome home. And these events over the years have grown and grown and grown. And now this year we're doing an event for over 20,000 families at Allegiant Stadium, focused exclusively on veteran, military, and first responder families.
And are you trying to say thank you, or is it a R&R type situation? I mean, what is the goal of the event? Is to just to show them appreciation?
Yeah, the title says it all, Day of Gratitude. Mm-hmm. It's our community's way, our state's way of telling our American heroes, thank you very much for what you do for our country. We appreciate your service. We appreciate your sacrifices. So thank you, and this event is for you.
Well, it's well deserved. I mean, a lot of veterans are dealing with a lot of personal issues and financial issues and PTSD and all kind of things. So a lot of times just saying thank you can mean a lot. I mean, what's been the response of veterans over the years to your events and your outreach?
Well, you know, numbers never lie. We started doing these events 30 years ago with 50 veterans, 50 military service members, and it's grown to 100,000, 5,000, and this year it's 20,000 people. So the response has been overwhelming. You know, people who sacrifice a lot, whether they're in the military or they're veterans or first responders, they don't ask for anything. But doing an event saying thank you and then supporting that thank you with a spectacular event that includes a concert and millions of dollars in gifts really takes it to the next level. And it's very special for them because they say, you know, our country not only appreciates us, but they're proving it with action.
And have the first responders shown a lot of interest as well as the veterans?
It's been just tremendous. Just to give you a sense, Todd, we have a cap of 20,000 tickets. That was the agreement we made with the Raiders, who, by the way, gave us the stadium for free. So a shout out to the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're challenging all NFL owners to match Mark Davis. Let's do these events all over our country. Let's bring this thing together. But the response has been overwhelming. We have 20,000 tickets cap, and as of this morning, we have 36,000 people that have registered.
Wow. And those are vets or first responders that want to go to the event? Is that correct? Yeah.
Mostly veterans, a lot of military families from Nellis Air Force Base, which is one of the largest Air Force bases in our country, and a lot of first responders, firefighters, police officers. So it's going to be a spectacular event.
Well, this doesn't come cheap. I know you got the stadium for free, but the gifts and the talent and all that. Are you raising money throughout the country to support this, or how are you doing this?
Well, I work for $1 a year. I'm a true believer. I love our country. I'm very patriotic. But the support from the community has just been overwhelming. Everybody I've reached out to has been very supportive. The Duffield Foundation is our presenting sponsor, and they donated $300,000. And we've raised several $1 million. And all the money, 100% of the money, is going towards paying for the concert and buying goods that we will distribute to all the families that attend. And we will distribute over $3 million in goods, home goods, toys for the kids, shoes for the kids, and things of this nature.
Interesting. And you have an organization that's putting all this together. Tell us about that.
So we partner with CityServe, which is a national philanthropic organization out of Bakersfield, California. Fantastic people. They're Christians, and they work with Dave Donaldson and Pastor Paula White, the president's faith-based leader. Also with Love Has No Limits, which is helping us with the entertainment piece. And of course, my organization, Voice of the Veteran. And we have another 30 veteran organizations that are sponsoring our event. So here in Las Vegas, Nevada, we're bringing this thing together centered on love of country and patriotism.
You mentioned Vegas. So what's been the response of the city? Have you had a lot of positive feedback from those in Las Vegas?
A tremendous response, a tremendous unity. We have our mayor, Shelley Berkeley, who's an incredible supporter of veteran issues. Her husband's a veteran, Dr. Larry. Our governor, Joe Lombardo, has been spent fantastic. He served in the Army himself. He's a veteran and just a great governor. So the support from our political leadership has been fantastic. The business community stepped up. And like I said, I can honestly say nobody's turned me down. We hit our fundraising goals. We're bringing in over $3 million in goods that we're going to distribute. We're going to have a free concert by Big and Rich and Coffee Anderson for our veterans. And that's really special because remember, today, most of our veteran military families are at the middle class level. They're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So they don't have an opportunity to go to something spectacular called the Allegiant Stadium to see a concert, because concerts are very expensive nowadays. So here we're going to have a free concert for them. and just a beautiful day built around patriotism.
What kind of things are you going to give to the kids and to the families?
We had somebody donate the other day $100,000 of toys. We have shoes, and we have soccer balls and basketballs, and we have children clothing. We have home goods for the wives. This event is centered on families because remember, Todd, when the husband serves, the family serves, or when the wife serves, the family serves. Commitment today to our military involves the whole family. So we appreciate that fact, and our event is centered on the family.
You mentioned, last question, you mentioned Christianity. Has there been support from Christians across the country to build up this effort?
Absolutely. I'm a Christian, and we've partnered with 25 local churches here in Las Vegas who are fully on board to support our event. We hit the 20,000 ticket mark within 2 weeks of starting the registered events, and which is really spectacular because remember, a lot of things are going on in Las Vegas every day. It's the entertainment center of the world.
Sure.
So there's a lot of competition, and the response of the Christian community, my fellow brothers and sisters, has been just spectacular. And the whole community is behind us because we're doing something that America needs right now. We need some patriotism. We need to work together. 90% of us believe in the same thing. So given that fact, let's all work together and bring it together.
Great idea. So tell us about the event, or not about the event, but where can people go and find information about the event online?
They can go on voiceoftheveteran.org. There's also a lot of social media on it. There's a big buzz in the social media community because everybody's saying the same thing. They're doing something very special in Las Vegas, Nevada for our country. And that's the message we want. And again, I'm challenging every city in the country to raise the flag of patriotism. And let's work together because we live in the greatest country in the world. So let's raise the flag, let's raise awareness, and stop the noise on the far right and far left that's trying to damage our democracy and our country.
Well, I spent years at Vegas back in the day, so or not Vegas, but in Nellis. So I appreciate I'm sure the families there really appreciate it as well. So thank you, Peter Polivos, Voice of America Chairman, not Voice of America, Voice of the Veteran Chairman. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd.
Okay, thanks for joining us today. Sorry about that little delay. We will be back tomorrow, 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on the SCIF. And oh, there's one more story I wanted to make sure you saw. Let me just bring that up now. This one is one we've been talking about for some time, which is the bridge between the U.S. and Russia in the Arctic over the Bering Strait.
And Kirill Dmitriev, yesterday at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, said on Russian radio that an agreement will be signed with a U.S. company to bore the tunnel under the Bering Strait. So very fascinating. We're going to stay on this story. We've been talking about that for a long time. Really hope you have a great weekend. We will be back on Sunday at 2 on the Georgia Show with Bill Quinn, and we'll be reporting live from Georgia in the next week, as well as in Miami, and just a lot going on. You're going to see changes here, and stay tuned for that. But meanwhile, tell your friends about the show, spread the links, etc. We'll be back Monday, 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on the SCIF Eastern. Thank you.